is up, Buttercups? It's Peyton. That's a very weird intro, but it's here, and I'm keeping it, whether you like it or not. So this is a story time about the time that my old theater teacher tried me, and it's a very long one, and it's a lot, so get you a snack, get you a drink. This story time is about my theater teacher from my old school, and I've wanted to make this video for a while, but I was too scared to offend anyone. Since I don't go to that school anymore, I don't give a fuck. Anyway, I'm gonna start off by explaining what kind of teacher this guy was. So he was the new theater teacher my sophomore year after the old theater teacher had left, and at first he was very out there, really involved with the students, and he liked to get us out of our comfort zone, which is anything that you would expect from a good theater teacher. So those are some of his good traits, but some of his bad traits were the fact that he would often joke around with students, but he would push it to the point where it was no longer joking, and sometimes it was just extremely rude, not appropriate for the situation or the position he was in as an authoritative figure, and it could be classified as what some would call bullying. So anyone that's been in high school probably has had a teacher like this. Okay, so he taught speech and theater, but the majority of the time he wasn't up to teaching, or if he wasn't in a good mood, he would basically not teach us. He would make up our grades on report cards, make up assignments, and the majority of the time in that class we did not do shit. We watched movies, we had conversations, which was all good and fine, except for when we would spend the first 30 minutes of class being able to talk and whatever, not doing anything, and then his mood would just shift in the middle of class, and he would start writing people up for talking and making us write the dictionary, stuff like that, just randomly, even though talking was fine 1 minute ago. Another thing is he liked to start debates in class with people, and part of his argument was dismissing the credibility of his student's character, whoever he was arguing with, based on their appearance. So, for example, he had favorites, and a lot of his favorites were in theater, so he could be joking with them, and it was fine because they had already had that established relationship, and they knew that he didn't really mean anything by it. But if it was an ag student, he would say that they weren't educated and that their opinion doesn't even matter anymore or whatever because they're wearing cowboy boots or something. It was ridiculous. He would argue with you for 30 minutes, and then in the argument, if he couldn't win it by saying your opinion doesn't matter anyway, but if their opinion didn't matter anyway, why were you arguing with them for 30 minutes? Also didn't like any blonde popular girl that fit the mode. Didn't like any blonde popular girl that fit the mold of popular, basically, and or basic white girl. And he would mock them by using a basic white girl voice. He would often get in students' drama, little high school drama, and let's say Becky cheated on Brad and slept with fucking Tiffany's boyfriend. Well, he would know those things, which was really creepy and weird that he would get in high school drama, and that's kind of how he also picked his favorites. It was the people that would tell him the tea. So, and then he would make comments about it in class. So back to how he didn't like popular people, or basically anyone that looked like a basic white girl that was pretty. He would mock them, and I would try to stand up for them because he would use a basic white girl voice whenever he would be making fun of them or whatever, and he would clap back by telling me that everyone else knows that he's just joking and that I'm being too sensitive, but I did often hear the same people that he would be making fun of complaining about him in other classes and saying that they don't feel comfortable with it. Time in class when we weren't really doing shit, there was this blonde girl that he often made fun of and talked about her drama that she would get in, and she was fiddling with her keys and her wallet. So he picked up her keys and wallet, swung them around, and threw them on the floor. He picked them back up and started going through her wallet. And I remember hearing this girl complain about it in another class to a teacher. And that girl, I'm just gonna say, had a lot of willpower, because if that were me, I would have picked my wallet and keys off of the floor and smacked him dead ass in the face with it. Now I'm gonna get into my conflict with him. So this story takes place on a day that seniors were filling out their FAFSA, which, if you don't know, is financial aid basically that helps us get into college. And that day we had to bring our phones so that we could verify with the website and everything on our emails, because the website would send us emails. So I brought my phone that day, and that's going to be essential to the story later. I was just walking to the classroom like 1 second after the bell rang, literally 1 second. And keep in mind, he would sometimes be like, oh, where's this student? Like 10 minutes after the bell rang, and then they would like walk in and he'd be like, oh, there you are, and it would be fine. But I guess like he had an issue with me, and I was in talented theater before. He did have some issues with me, but that's like a whole other story, and I'm not even going to get into that right now because I'm still a little bit heated about it. But anyway, so I try to walk into class, and he says, go to the office. And I'm like, today is gonna be the day. I basically responded in absolute shock and just told him what I explained to you guys, and which is like, he lets people in 10 minutes after the bell rings, and he very rarely does this. And I'm never late to class. This was like the first time I've ever been late to class the entire time that I was there. And his dumbass played it off like it was a joke after I said that, and he was like, I was just joking, you can come in. And I was like, yeah, fucking right, I can come in. So later on, oh, that's my thumb, in class, later on, I sat down, everything's settled, we're all bullshitting around in that bullshit class, and I'm sorry, I get very heated about this. I raise my hand, and I ask him to go fill out my FAFSA with the counselor, because at lunch, right before that class, the counselor had told me to go meet her since I had that class, and she basically knew that we don't really do anything in that class. I raise my hand and ask him, and he says, no. Straight face, no. For like no reason at all. We weren't doing shit that day. So I tried repeating the damn question, and this time I added the fact that the deadline was coming soon, and the counselor did tell me at lunch to go meet her. And he responds, I know what you asked, and the answer is still no. So at this point, I start tearing up because I know that I need to stand up for myself and I need to get this done. And I know that this is going to be really hard for me because I have social anxiety. But I just basically tell him that I really need to get this done. I really wish he wouldn't act like that, and that he seems to enjoy bullying students, basically, and I really wish he would stop. And there are tears in my eyes while I'm giving him this little speech. So, as you would expect high school students to do, especially since I was in a class that consisted of sophomores and juniors, the class starts laughing. And it's like horror for me, basically. I hate confrontation. And there's this pretty popular, very well-known junior in the class. And while everyone's laughing, she just says, stop. Because she knows that this teacher is full of bullshit, basically. So I can't say names or anything for privacy reasons, but you know what? Shout out to her. You guys need to be like this girl. After that, he basically just let his guard down and let me go. And so I grab my papers. I leave my book sack that has my phone in it because I'm not sure if the counselor is with the student or not available or whatever. So I go, I wait by her door, I knock on her door. The lady at the office tells me to come back later because she's with the student. So I'm like, okay, and I just march on back to class. Not even 5 seconds after I get in and sit down, the principal comes in and asks for me. I'm scared shitless because I already went through a very hard encounter that day and I am so fed up. So I just walk out and like my social anxiety just like drained out of my body for a moment because I was honestly so fucking done. And so I was like, yes, yes, like what the fuck do you want now? But I didn't really say that, but I was thinking it. And he asked me if I have my phone. And I tell him that I do. We're not allowed to have our phones. We're supposed to keep them in our vehicles. But in this case, it was okay for me to bring it because the counselor told me to. So I tell him that. I tell him I have it to fill out my FAFSA. And then he doesn't believe me. So we walk our happy asses to the office so that we can talk to the counselor. And then the counselor confirms it with them, and he's like, okay, go back to class. So after that, I'm basically just sitting in class waiting for it to end so that I can have my word with this teacher. And finally, the bell rings, I walk out, and before I leave and go to the next class, I turn to him and I say, by the way, I didn't get in trouble because I was allowed to have my phone for FAFSA. And he says, I didn't say you were going to get in trouble. And then he just starts rambling. And the entire time that he's rambling so that he can have the last word, I'm walking to the next class with a smirk on my face. And that is the last encounter that I had with that teacher before I moved. I just think it's really shitty that someone who's in charge of theater, which is supposed to be an accepting, encouraging group of people, is so immature and childish. If anyone from my school sees this, or like if he sees this, I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash because he is still a teacher at that school, and I know that everyone's gonna have their opinions about this video, but honestly, I'm just saying my piece, and I'm entitled to my own opinion, just like everyone else is. And I know that there are some that agree with me, so it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for watching. I love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day.